Hello, my snacks, once again. It is me, the apparition of Jack, speaking in today's intro. It's time to read some more Reddit stories once again. Let's begin. This story began 9 days ago by TH Diddly Do. Am I the a-hole for finally giving up on a friend who made our lives revolve around her? Hi Reddit, I'm wondering if me and my friends are being too harsh or if we're right to feel the way we do. We're a group of university students who have known each other for years and are currently living together. One of our housemates, let's call her Crystal, has been part of our group for a long time. But lately, things have gotten really tense, and we're starting to reach a breaking point. Here's why. 1. She lies constantly. Big lies, small lies, pointless lies. She exaggerates or makes up things about her grades, money, friendships, trips, jobs, almost everything. It often feels like she does it just to flex or seem impressive, and it's hard to know when she's telling the truth. She only talks about herself. She can go on for hours about her own life, but if someone else tries to share something, even something emotional or serious, she either interrupts, brushes it off, or somehow brings the topic back to herself. She dominates any space she's in. If she walks into a room and people are watching a movie or having a conversation, she'll stop it and start talking about whatever she wants. She doesn't notice or care if people are clearly uninterested or uncomfortable. She plays the victim when we try to be honest. One time, I tried to open up and explain that what was making me uncomfortable, but she immediately turned it around, victimizing herself and avoiding any responsibility for her actions. She has double standards. She complains whenever someone uses her kitchen stuff, like dishes, pans, or utensils, and doesn't clean them right away. But she does the exact same thing to us and doesn't see any problem with it. She guilt trips us over basic favors. Someone asks for something simple, like a pad. She acts like it's a burden and makes the person feel bad for even asking, which is weird for a close friend group. She once ruined a friend's reputation just because he rejected her. A guy in our friend group didn't return her feelings, and afterward, she spent months bad-mouthing him, even inventing things that didn't happen. We only found out the truth way later and felt awful for how she manipulated us. She's made it impossible to pull back, even a little. As soon as we started spending a bit more time without her, not even excluding her completely, she began finding any excuse to complain. For example, we usually sit in the living room talking at night. She started saying we were making too much noise, even though we tested it from her room and it's literally impossible to hear anything. It feels like if she's not having fun, then no one else is allowed to either. She doesn't care about our safety or well-being. On a trip, we stayed at one of her houses. She went to bed early but told us she'd unlock the door when we got back from drinking. Well, when we got home, clearly drunk, on a dangerous road, all of us girls, she left us outside for over an hour because she apparently didn't think it was important. She knew where we were and just ignored us. She treats her favors like debts. Whenever she offers something, like a job opportunity or letting us stay at her family's vacation house, she later uses it against us. She'll act like we owe her something huge, even if she was the one who suggested it. On top of that, staying at her place isn't even enjoyable. She sets so many strict, unreasonable rules that it's uncomfortable for everyone and hard to relax. So now, after years of putting up with this, some of us are trying to distance ourselves. We're not being cruel, we're just trying to protect our peace. But at the same time, we keep wondering if we're in the wrong for talking about her behind her back or for not being completely honest with her face to face. It's just that, knowing her personality, we truly believe that having a conversation wouldn't lead to anything productive. Now, it might be hard to perceive this, but if you actually read the story carefully, you would have picked up on the fact that OP and their friends don't actually like Crystal. It does sound like more of a rant than an actual story about issues. But before we go to the update, there is a reflection needed in the comments, which is basically summarizes this one. No, there's billions of other people to be friends with. Don't stress about it. With other comments all pretty much supporting OP's choice here just to cut off this friend. They're clearly not healthy in your entire friend group. Clearly, they're the only problem. They're the only one that is the problem here. Or so we originally would think. Because then we come to this update that OP makes, literally 9 days later. Update, she pretended to be in love with me just to stop someone else from getting close. Hi everyone, I wanted to post an update to my original post. There's a story I left out at the time because it involved something very personal about me and another friend from the group. It happened about 4 months ago, before I made the original post, but it's been on our minds a lot recently. One night, I, Jules, went out with 3 of my friends, Penelope, Martha, and Crystal. Now, I've known Penelope and Crystal for many years. We've lived together for about 4 years. Martha joined our friend group more recently, last year, and that was when she moved in with us. So that night, we went to a bar. Crystal was the only one who didn't order a drink. She just had a few sips from our drinks. Nothing major. But during the night, Martha told me she had feelings for me. We were having a private conversation when, out of nowhere, Crystal interrupted and sat on my lap, which is unusual for her even when she's drunk, even though she wasn't, which cut the moment short completely. We left the bar shortly after. Now, here's what I only found out later from Martha. Apparently, as soon as we left the bar, Crystal went up to her and said she had a secret to tell. She told Martha that she, Crystal, had feelings for me. Martha, understandably shocked, asked her directly, "Would you make out with Jules?" which is OP. To which Crystal, with a serious face, responded, "Yes." Because Martha doesn't know Crystal as well as the rest of us, she took her seriously. But about a week later, Martha told me everything. I was stunned. I've known Crystal for 11 years, and our relationship has always almost felt familial. I immediately thought it wasn't true. Based on everything I know about her and our dynamic, it just didn't add up. I genuinely believe she made it up in the moment, possibly out of panic, and my friends agree with me. And here's why. In our group, everyone is in a relationship now except for me, Martha, and Crystal. I think that when Crystal overheard Martha confessing feelings for me, she got scared of being the only single one left, and said that impulsively to throw a wrench into things. Given her personality, this is believable. She's incredibly impulsive, as I described in the original post. What's more concerning is that when I brought this situation up with the rest of our group, without Crystal, we realized this kind of thing has happened before. Before the current couples in our group started dating, Crystal had mentioned being interested in both of the girls' partners, again showing a pattern of trying to insert herself into potential romantic dynamics. Now back to the present. As I mentioned in the original post, some of us have been trying to distance ourselves from Crystal. Now 2 days ago, she finally approached me to ask why I've been distant. She's clearly noticed for a while, but only chose to bring it up now. During our conversation, I told her there were many reasons, but we ended up mostly talking about that night. When I confronted her and said Martha had told me about what she said, Crystal immediately denied everything. She claimed she doesn't like me, doesn't like women, and only said what she said because she was drunk. But I remind you that she barely drank that night, and that this excuse is one she always uses to justify her terrible actions. I told her plainly that I didn't believe her, and I explained what I actually think happened. She kept denying it, and the conversation ended there. But right after we finished talking, she told Martha that she wasn't sure about her sexuality. She didn't use those exact words, but said something vague like, "I don't know what I am." She also said that when she told Martha she liked me, she really meant it. So now we're left with 2 totally contradictory stories told minutes apart. After this, my friend and I have had enough. We've decided we're going to confront her all together on Monday. The goal is to prevent her from twisting the truth anymore, because her usual tactic is to isolate people and give each one a different version of events, manipulating the narrative depending on who she's talking to. Is this as manipulative as it feels, or are we missing something? We'll share another update after the conversation. So, in case this is confusing, this whole update story, this happened 4 months ago, but there's also the update here that recently Crystal finally confronted OP about how she's become so distant. OP then brings up this experience that happened 4 months ago specifically, and while Crystal has assured OP that she isn't gay and doesn't have feelings for OP, she's then confined in another friend that she is in fact not sure, but she definitely does like OP. And this friend group's tactic to find out the truth or not, assuming it even matters, is to literally do an intervention to force someone out of the closet. Naturally, this gets people to ask, you're planning to gang up on someone none of you are even dating to force them to tell you who they are or aren't attracted to. That sounds a bit psychotic in my opinion. If you don't like someone, just stop hanging out with them, or at least be upfront about it. Don't start up more confrontation. What's that supposed to accomplish? It sounds like your friendship dynamic may be a significant contributing factor to how you view this person. Honestly, I'm starting to think that maybe everyone in this friend group is a little bit unhinged. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong here, but it feels like every little story they bring up in this post, even the first one, they've more so assumed the intention behind all of Crystal's actions. Like, they've alleged here in this post that, apparently she has a tactic to isolate people and give each other a different version of events, etc., as she's done with OP and Martha. But, I don't know, maybe the reason Crystal didn't admit it all to you, OP, is because she could tell that she was ashamed and embarrassed to confess directly to you, because she's not ready to yet, because she's not sure. And so that's why she's more willing to confine in Martha, because Martha isn't someone she's actually directly attracted to and is also a friend. Again, am I missing something here? Especially with the original post being more just a list of problems that showed no effort into understanding why Crystal behaved in a certain way. It was just assuming that it was nefarious. I don't know, I'm actually kind of on Crystal's side. This just sounds too much like a Mean Girls group to me, but again, I might be completely missing the mark here, so please, if you know any better in the comments, please give me some insight. This story by Most Passion 2559. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife's best friend I don't care about how she feels after my wife broke their friendship? My wife broke her friendship with one of her friends about a week ago. The reason was because her friend insulted me in front of everyone, and my wife got angry and kicked her out and stopped talking to her. For some context, my wife's friend proposed a trip to a different country, and she said it should be an only girls trip. My wife, though, refused to go, so she came to me thinking that I might convince my wife. But I refused. I said going to a different country is risky, and I will never allow my wife to go somewhere so far with only 3 or 4 women. It's too risky. Well, she got angry at me instead, and she said their husbands would encourage them instead of confining them, and I'm a bad, controlling, and abusive husband, and she called me a lot of nasty names. My wife got angry, and she said that she doesn't feel safe going to a different country without me, and she doesn't want to join them, and she cursed her back for cursing at me, and kicked her out. From what I know from my wife, she stopped talking to her and haven't been responding to her calls. She said she doesn't want to be friends with someone who disrespects her family in such a nasty way in front of everyone. Now, my wife defending me like this made me happy, I'm not gonna lie. I would have done the same, but yesterday, her friend, or should I say ex-friend, called me, and she said she's sorry for what she said, and she misses my wife, and doesn't want to lose her friendship of 3 years over nothing. She said she feels depressed and I should talk to my wife and convince her to not break their friendship. I told her that it has nothing to do with me and it's between her and my wife and they should figure it out themselves. She said she feels bad and scared that she might lose my wife forever. I said, I don't care about how she feels, and I hung up. But now her and my wife's other friends are saying that I'm being an ass for being rude to her and not helping her. So am I the a-hole? I might have helped her if she didn't insult me, but now I don't want to. And I think it's good that my wife kicked her toxic friend out of our lives. Now, naturally, the way this has been worded, pretty easy to see how, yeah, maybe it kinda can be believed that OP is rather toxic and controlling. Comments are all agreeing. Ew, on the whole, not allowing my wife to travel to another country with 3 or 4 women thing. That does sound controlling. But there's also a lot of people pushing back against that as well. How does that sound controlling? He's concerned about his wife's safety and is basically saying that he doesn't trust them to protect her like he can. But also defending the friend, her friend was looking out for her and was probably worried that you're trying to isolate her or make decisions for her. There's way too many scenarios of domestic violence that start out with people not allowing their partner to go somewhere or do something, so it's natural for that to be a red flag for friends. But not the a-hole for not giving her friend help. She insulted you and made it clear she doesn't think you're a good person, but now she wants your help? No thanks. She needs to sort it out with her friend directly. More fence-sitting like this in the comments, not the a-hole for saying that your wife's feelings matter more to you than anyone else's, but you are the a-hole for saying allow when talking about your wife going on a girl's trip. It does sound controlling and abusive. Yeah, absolutely. Any sentence that starts with, I will never allow my wife to, always comes from a Premier League a-hole. OP, you've trained your wife well. But okay, OP does have a voice to say in the comments himself. Do you think my wife is a dog that I trained her? Of course, if it's unreasonable and risky, I wouldn't let my wife do something that'll put her in danger, and my wife would also not allow me to do something that'll hurt me. We are partners, and we both care for each other, we understand each other. My wife, on multiple occasions, didn't allow me to do certain things, and I obliged. I mean, the more I read these comments, and from OP's own responses, it sounds like his wording here is the issue, and not so much the motivation he has behind it. Many people wouldn't physically bar their partner from doing things, but they're not going to be afraid to express their disapproval and concern. And it does seem like this is what OP is trying to imply. As comments further defend him, the definition of allow is to give someone permission to do something. I would never give my husband permission to shave with rusty razors is not controlling. He can still shave with rusty razors, but I'm not giving him my consent to do so. Anyone who seriously thinks allow in this context means he will stop her from leaving by any means necessary, even physical force, is delusional. When in a healthy relationship, you want the consent of your partner before you do big things. Do you need it? No. You can shave with rusty razors if you really want to, but people who care about their partners usually want their partner's consent before doing something big or risky. Well, 5 days pass, and OP comes back with an update, notably titled Last Update because they're clearly sick of everyone's comments. First off, I'm not a controlling husband. I didn't know that saying that I won't allow my wife to travel so far away from me would earn me so many hate mails. I just wanted to express that I would hate if my wife went so far away from me, and I wouldn't want her to travel with her friends so far away, and I would be very uncomfortable. Even if my wife was traveling with 3 or 4 or more women, I wouldn't trust them with my wife's security. Also, I didn't want to insult women, and I know many women travel with their friends or travel alone, and that's fine. But for us, we are uncomfortable, and both of us know that. So I went to my wife and told her everything about what her friends did and said, and I told her if she truly wanted to go out of country with her friends, I won't stop her, but she must update me every few hours about her whereabouts. She said that she doesn't want to. She said she doesn't feel controlled by me, she feels safe with me, and that's what she cares about the most. I said that I also want her close to me so I can be assured that she's safe, but if I'm in any way restricting her freedom and made her lose her friend of 3 years, then she should just go on this vacation if she wants to. She said she doesn't want to, and she will choose her family over her friends who insults her husband, and if I don't do the same for her, she'll get angry at me. She then went off to calling her friends and told them not to bother me, and it's her decision, and she permanently cut off her friendship with the main culprit in question. Now we have decided to live our life happily, and we planned a trip to Egypt in July, and we don't want unnecessary drama in our life. We both earn, we both understand each other, and at the end of the day, that's all that really matters, right? So it seems a pretty open and shut case that this wife genuinely actually appreciates him looking out for her, being concerned for her. That if anything, she's actually equally as concerned for his safety when traveling out. So, comments surely are persuaded that he is not at all controlling. Saying that your wife has to update you every few hours if she does choose to go is controlling behavior. You are also saying you don't trust your own wife with her own safety. Sounds like asshole behavior to me. Others wondering, how would her checking in with you every few hours make a difference? If she fails to check in, are you going to fly over there and rescue her? OP responding, obviously I will go to her right away, and if I fail to do so, she'll get angry at me. But yeah, ultimately, and if something terrible happened to her and you weren't nearby, how would a check-in every few hours make much of a difference? Is she visiting Libya? Are you Liam Neeson in Taken? I mean, OP could be. We don't know that. But okay, look, they are valid points to make here. Like, what's the point of updating every few hours? Well, I suppose it just gives him peace of mind. I know it's sort of maybe supporting this controlling behavior of sorts, but I think I'd want to argue that there is a difference between the wife clearly feeling forced to make this sort of choice versus her clearly preferring to have this in the first place. But the only experience I have with Stockholm Syndrome is from watching Beauty and the Beast, so let me know what you think down below if you think this man is going too far with his demands. In the meantime, you'll be good, I love your face, we'll end today's video here. Have a good one, bye-bye.